with you in Seattle. Crazy lightning storms here last night, but the sun, at least for the moment, starting to peek through the clouds. Temperatures in the low 60s as we are ready. Better than 72,000 here at CenturyLink Field. There's Pete Carroll, oldest head coach in the NFL. Certainly doesn't act like it. Maybe the youngest at heart at the ripe old age of 67. Seahawks have not lost a home opener here since 2008. And they are revved up. Seahawks won the toss. They defer, and they will waste no time to put this retooled defense on the field. Jason Myers boots it into the end zone as Darius Phillips takes a knee to get Andy Dalton the football from his own 25-yard line. So here's Dalton, first time playing for an offensive head coach. It was the first thing he told us, Arch, in our conversation with him yesterday. He is rejuvenated.
Yeah, he really did. And he said that just the fact of knowing what's going to be called in the game and even being able to add plays in practice or take plays out when they're in practice. I think there's a lot of speculation on what this offense is going to look like. Is it going to look like the Los Angeles Rams? But I think we have to remember that Dalton has a different skill set than Jared Goff, and I think we're going to see a lot more versatility from this offense today.
On first down, Dalton knew exactly where he was going. Tyler Boyd, and he is stuffed. Boyd had that terrific season last year with A.J. Green missing all of those games. A.J. Green, of course, beginning this season on the shelf, and how they replace him at least the first few weeks is going to be a major headline with this offense.
They feel really good about Tyler Boyd. Now, he is exceptional as a slot receiver, and his ability to beat the inside guy is really special. What he's going to have to show now is, can he be the outside guy, the guy that draws the coverage like A.J. Green?
Green suffering that leg injury on the very first day of training camp. Dalton's second down pass deflected and nearly picked. Intended for John Ross. Cincinnati escapes an early disaster.
We talk a lot about John Ross, and he's looking for a breakout season. Maybe a little bit of a disappointment here in his first 2 years. It battled some injuries, and they really thought that he had a terrific camp and that he was ready to take that next step. That's a catch right there you've got to make in the opening series of the game.
That was Tedrick Thompson who nearly picked the deflection. 3rd and 7. Dalton under duress over the middle. It's a strike. And a Cincinnati first down, a pickup of 15 yards as Dalton able to locate Boyd.
We have a number 90 sighting. Jadeveon Clowney to the left going against Andre Smith. Andy Dalton steps up inside in the pocket, and then there's Tyler Boyd. We talk about his ability in the slot to be able to work the middle. Really, when you study his game, he's one of the great separators in this league, and that was a big catch there on 3rd down.
Fresh set of downs, the fake to Mixon. Boyd on a quick crosser. And we'll take a look at the Seattle defense. Another Cincinnati first down. A tackle made by Tedrick Thompson as Bobby Wagner headlines this Seahawks defense.
I think they have a big chip on their shoulder. You look at their numbers, whether it's total yards, total passing, the numbers have gone down significantly year by year in the last 5 years. Now they've retooled their defense. They have a lot of young players, and they really feel like they made the changes to get back to being a top 5 defense.
Dalton from the gun on first down. Low pass, and that was incomplete. John Ross unable to make the shoestring catch. One injury note for Seattle, a bit of a surprise. Ziggy Ansah, the other offseason free agent acquisition, not quite ready to return from the offseason shoulder injury. And you saw the replay there. Ross nearly with a terrific catch.
Yeah, just a small bobble there, but again, I think that's a catch that you've got to be able to make. Remember, John Ross was a first-round pick, and with A.J. Green out, he's got to make a big contribution. They've got to find somebody else opposite Tyler Boyd to take the pressure off of this passing game.
Play clock at 1. Dalton has to hurry here, and you see the challenge flag thrown from the Cincinnati sideline at the top of your picture. as they were right up against the expiration of that play clock.
Cincinnati is challenging the ruling on the field of an incomplete pass.
There's Bradley Rogers, one of 3 first-year referees in the NFL this season. And so an early challenge by Zach Taylor in Cincinnati. Well, Zach Taylor challenging the ruling on the field, which was an incomplete pass. It has been upheld, the ruling has, and so the Bengals are charged a timeout as they try to keep this impressive opening drive going.
I think it's interesting to note that to open up this game, Dalton has thrown it 5 times and they have yet to run.
With a read option, play that pass, batted down. And right in the middle of the mix was Clowney.
Really a nice reaction. Clowney on the right side, and he's going to smell this. Look, he's rushing, and then right now he sees Dalton come back, jumps up, and uses those long arms in that frame. That's 6'5" right there with long arms to break up that pass. And I think that Cincinnati had something. They had Mixon all alone, right by the numbers, with a lot of blockers. If they were able to get that to Mixon, that could have been a big play, but it was saved by Clowney.
7th play of the drive. Dalton from the gun on 3rd and 10. He had to double clutch it. He was caught. But Joe Mixon, no daylight. Bobby Wagner, most tackles in the league going back to 2014. Dumps him for a loss of 3. Cincinnati will punt.
But he's so good and so smart. Look, he's in the A gap, and he's got Mixon man-to-man. As soon as Mixon goes to release for the screen, he just flies right down the line of scrimmage and makes that play. There are not a lot of places where you can attack Bobby Wagner, and that was an excellent play to get off the field.
Wagner's so excited about this defense. We spoke to him on Friday, talked about just how young they were last year, key spots of their defense. Says this unit feels completely different, more seasoned and more experienced. Beautiful punt, and Cincinnati trying to down this inside the 5, but the officials say they didn't get it. Touchback. Bad break for the Bengals. Terrific punt by Kevin Huber. Officially a 51-yarder. Seattle has it for the first time when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by AT&T. More for your thing. That's our thing. AARP. Real possibilities. And by McCafe Premium Roast Coffee. Good is brewing.
Russell Wilson, fresh off signing the richest contract in the history of the league, onto the field. What a terrific season he had last year. Could very well have been his best. This is Chris Carson, one of the top running backs in the NFL last season. Tackled on the play by Sam Hubbard and Carlos Dunlap. Couple of changes with the Seattle offense as you take a look at their starters. Up front, they are dealing with some injuries. Ethan Posick making the start today in place of the veteran addition Mike Iupati, who is available, by the way, today in an emergency situation. Iupati dealing with a calf injury. On 2nd down, Wilson's pass sails out of bounds. Arch, as we take a look at that Bengals defense. Now, the Cincinnati defense last year wasn't only bad, they were historically bad in a number of areas. At the bottom of the NFL, in basically every major statistical category. Injured Seahawks player here. Trying to get a look at the number as the medical staff quickly comes onto the field.
Well, it's hard to say, but Justin Britt fell down, and I'm not sure if that's going to be number 68, their center. I don't know. Yeah, there he is.
Britt.
There was some miscommunication right there, and he ran into one of his own offensive linemen on that play.
Well, they start the season with the offensive line depth a bit of a concern, and Joey Hunt, who is out with a high ankle, is their only real backup center. Only other guy who has any experience playing the position is Ethan Posick.
You can see what happened. Will Dissly, the tight end, coming from the other side. He came to try and sneak out of the backfield and just ran right into Britt.
Now, this is a big story early in this game. Posick was a starting center in college at LSU, hasn't played much of the position in the NFL. They started the day with only 2 healthy backup offensive linemen. And so Britt has to exit here for the moment, and Posick moves over from left guard to center. And already the musical chairs beginning for Seattle.
It's kind of been a trend here for Seattle the last few years, and they really felt like one of their priorities in the offseason was they made some improvement. Now, they still had a ways to go up front for the offensive line, but they made big improvement last year, and it was real important to keep the continuity together, that they felt like if those 5 could grow. Now, they brought in Mike Upati to be the starting left guard, but if those guys could grow, they could make big strides this season.
So Upati has to come into the game. That quick crosser is caught. DK Metcalf, who was 19 days removed from that minor knee surgery he underwent on August the 20th. He was running 8 days post-surgery. We know how gifted he is athletically. But comes up short of the first down. Seattle will punt.
Yeah, pretty impressive, and everybody knows how hard it is to make a contribution as a rookie, especially at wide receiver. But Russell Wilson said that mentally he is sharp. And not only do they think he can contribute right away, but they can move him around in different positions within the offense to try and find matchups to take advantage of his size.
Michael Dixon on to punt. And Alex Erickson, boy, that punt nearly blocked. Erickson back deep at around his own 30, signals fair catch. And that is where Andy Dalton and Cincinnati will have it, just outside their own 27-yard line. 45 yards on the punt by Dixon. Well, some mysteries can't be explained. Don't miss the premiere of Evil, Thursday, September the 26th on CBS. Very few venues can match this place. CenturyLink Field, downtown Seattle. As the sun has poked through the clouds, thunderstorms, lightning storms last night. It was raining for a good portion of the evening. Misty rain this morning. But temperatures now up into the mid-60s. Beautiful day here in the Pacific Northwest.
You see Dalton started out 7 passes, no runs, most of them shotgun. Now he lines up under center.
Here is Mixon. Led the AFC in rushing last season. Tackled by Wagner. We'll check the flag here from Bradley Rogers. This will be a hold against Cincinnati.
Holding, offense, number 89. 10-yard penalty, remains first down.
It's Drew Sample making his NFL debut, not far from where he grew up in Bellevue, Washington.
Yeah, this is a tough block right here, the rookie. And look who he's drawn, number 90, Jadeveon Clowney. And you see teams try and put 1 tight end, 2 tight ends. I don't think there's many tight ends in the NFL that could block Clowney one-on-one. And that is a tough assignment for the young guy to go in there on the road in this environment and block Clowney in the run game.
What did Clowney tell us yesterday? He eats tight ends for breakfast.
He does too.
On first and long, Dalton throwing a dart. This is John Ross out close to the 40-yard line as he finds some real estate over the middle. Cincinnati first down, a pickup of 20.
And this is really a nice job. Good rebound from Ross. He's going to be in the slot, and look at his feel for zone coverage. It starts with protection first. Andy Dalton, spread formation. He has time, and then Ross feels that little void right behind the Seattle linebackers, catches the ball, and gets upfield to pick up a first down. That is a good play from Ross, and the more we see from him, I think the key word being the more confidence he gets, the more we're going to see plays like that.
Dalton again from the gun over the middle. And that is a 6-yard pickup with Erickson making the catch. And yeah, we sat with Dalton yesterday. We met with him and the coach. It's such a big mystery, Arch, in terms of what this offense is going to be. And Andy said, look, our advantage right now is that defenses don't really know what we're going to run. It's a good place to be.
I think the expectation was, because Zach Taylor was a quarterback coach at the Rams, that they were going to look very similar. In this game so far, here's a bunch formation here, but right now they don't look like the Rams. It looks like they're using a lot of plays that suit Dalton's skill set.
On second down and 4, Mixon going nowhere. Actually loses a yard as we come up on the 8-minute mark of this first quarter. Third down coming up.
Already we've seen the impact of Clowney. Didn't know how much he was going to play, but here he is, the inside move on the right tackle, Bobby Hart. Look at how he just gets inside, how he can just split offensive linemen and disrupt the point of attack to stop the run.
Dalton on third down, incomplete. Pressure coming once again from Clowney, making his presence felt. Bengals will punt once again.
Well, this time they put him on the edge in a 4-point stance, and look at that get off. He gets off before Andre Smith, the left tackle, can even get out of his stance. And that's the impact already. We've had 2 drives from the Bengals, and Jadeveon Clowney's impact for not even being here a full week has already been felt in this game.
Here's Kevin Huber, who's Mr. Cincinnati, born and raised in the city. Bengals veteran punter. He only had 3 touchbacks last year. He had one on his first offering. As this one sails out of bounds, penalty marker thrown. It is a 52-yard punt. The penalty marker thrown way back from around where Huber punted it.
Run it into the kicker, number 57. A 5-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
Wow. Monstrous early call against Seattle special teams. It's Cody Barton, who made the club out of camp as a backup linebacker, expected to be a big special teams player for Pete Carroll, and that is a no-no.
And I mean, look, it's your first game, your first NFL game, you're excited, you're on special teams, but he had a good full 2 seconds to slow down. I mean, those are plays that you just can't make. Your defense did an outstanding job of getting off the field, and now you give the Bengals another chance. Sometimes when it's special teams, you know, the rush is tight, you're almost there, you almost block it, but that was a clear violation right there for Barton and a big mistake.
Barton from Salt Lake City, Utah. Terrific collegiate career at Utah. 3rd-round pick for Pete Carroll and John Schneider here, but an early mistake gives the Bengals a fresh set of downs. This is Mixon. Hasn't had much room to maneuver so far. Pickup of 3 here. And the tackle by Al Woods. Boy, how good was Mixon last year? The 2nd-round pick from 2017, led the AFC in rushing.
Look at this. I want to talk about this scheme. This is what the Patriots did to the Rams in the Super Bowl. They have a 6-man alignment, both linebackers on the line of scrimmage, and that's to stop the edge running game with just Bobby Wagner in the middle. And that's the defense that Bill Belichick came up with in the Super Bowl to stop the Rams offense when they came in. They're tight, they're 2 tight end sets.
Play action from Dalton, 2nd down pass, it's caught. That's Tyler Boyd with another catch, tackled on the play by Wagner. 13 yards and another Cincinnati 1st down.
Even in play action, and you mentioned that Dalton said he was going to be under center more than he's been in the past. He likes to be a spread offense quarterback, get the ball out of his hands quickly, but even on play action, back to the defense, and as soon as he sets up, the ball is out of his hands. I mean, I think that's little tip ball right there, so great concentration from Boyd to reach back and get that ball, but that's what Dalton brings to this table with his quick release.
More play action from Dalton. Well protected. He'll throw it near side and out of bounds. You know, we sat with Wagner and he talked about, you know, how tricky it is to prep for a week 1 game. Just don't have much from the preseason. Now you've got a new head coach with Zach Taylor. He said, look, we'll watch a little preseason tape. We'll watch a whole lot of Rams tape. And already, Arch, as you point out, they're incorporating that into their defensive game plan.
You know, week 1 comes down to you can't really go on tendencies. And so you just got to be fundamentally sound. You've got to know your defense. You've got to know your assignment, and you've got to read your keys. And then when it comes down to making plays, you just got to let your instincts take over and go out there and be a baller. And that's what Bobby Wagner does.
2nd down, quick strike as Dalton knew exactly where he was going with the football. Boyd with the catch. It's a pickup of 4. Trey Flowers on the tackle, and it will be 3rd down coming up.
So far, when you watch this offensive attack, what Zach Taylor has done. What was the big question mark for Cincinnati? It was their offensive line. How would they be able to come together? How could they operate in this crowd? Not get any false starts, not get any pre-snap penalties. And I think so far they have done a really good job of neutralizing the Seattle rush and playing a clean game up front, letting Dalton get the ball out of his hands.
Biggest third down of this game so far. Dalton over the middle. It is caught. First down, Cincinnati. Damian Willis, what a story this kid is. From undrafted to opening day starter with his first NFL catch, a pickup of a half dozen.
This is too easy. Look at the off coverage inside. And it's 3rd and about 7. What was 3rd and short? That's an easy play. Dalton's a veteran quarterback, and when he sees his number 3 receiver inside being played off at 7 yards, 7 or 8 yards off with nobody inside, he's going to take it.
Collegiate career that started at East Mississippi Community College, then on to Troy. Starting today in place of the absent A.J. Green. Dalton again able to find his man. This time it's Alex Erickson with his first, make it second catch. As we are under 5 minutes left. And boy, if you're Zach Taylor, couldn't have asked for a better offensive start.
And he got a gift via a special teams penalty, which gave the offense another chance. And we always used to talk about it way back in the day when I played. When you get off the field on defense, that's hard to do. And if you give teams chances by penalties on 3rd downs, penalties on 4th downs, you give teams another chance, their chances of scoring go way up.
This is Mixon. Told you quickly about his season last year. Nearly 1,200 yards rushing, most by a Bengal since Cedric Benson. We know about the tragic story with Benson in the offseason. But they're certainly hoping that Mixon can continue what he did last year.
And they're just, you talk about one of the great workhorse backs in the NFL. Already 400 plus touches in his young career. And he's got a great skill set that can attack defenses in a variety of different ways. The Seahawks have not had good success in their man coverage here on 3rd down. And this is a 3rd and short, so expect man-to-man coverage here. Seattle's got to make a play to get off the field.
Dalton just couldn't quite get them set, and it's a delay of game penalty. Looked like Dalton was about to turn and call for time.
What a huge mistake. You went from 3rd and 2 to now it's going to be about 3rd and 7.
12th play of the drive that began at their own 28.
So now Seattle defensively, they can do a little bit more now. Not just play man-to-man, but also you can think about pressure looks. Dalton has had a lot of time to get the ball out of his hands. Let's pressure him and see what he can do.
Dalton somehow escapes initially. He'll throw it across his body, and it's incomplete. And Dalton was under heavy pressure right from the snap.
There's the pressure look from Seattle, and how about this rush from the strong safety, Bradley McDougal. Really a nice job. Look at this move he puts on Mixon. Beats him to the inside, almost comes down with a sack, but he forces Dalton to get outside the pocket and throw away. It's a really good job by the Seattle defense, twice being able to get off the field on 3rd down in the same drive.
So here's Randy Bullock, journeyman kicker before finding a home with Cincinnati. He's been excellent inside of 50 the last couple of years. This one from 39 yards out. And Bullock able to get Cincinnati on the board first. Late stages, first quarter on CBS. Well, people affected by severe weather and other disasters need your help. You can support those impacted by Hurricane Dorian by texting the word Dorian to 90999. You can give $10 to American Red Cross Hurricane Relief. And our thoughts and prayers with all of those folks affected by that terrible, devastating storm. Spiro Ditas, Adam Archuleta, our producer Jason Ross, Jim Cornell, our director, rest of our great CBS crew here from Seattle. And what a way to get the party started here in the Pacific Northwest. CenturyLink Field, better than 72,000. as Randy Bullock's 39-yard field goal gets the Bengals our first points of the day. Rashad Penny takes a knee as Russell Wilson, after that quick drive, and you have to be wondering what's going through his mind. Already a change up front with Justin Brent leaving the game. He is back on the field now, their starting center, so good news for Seattle.
Great news. We really didn't get a chance to talk much Russell Wilson, but when I look at him, I mean, what can you say about him? Everybody said enough, but I think he's probably the most complete quarterback in the game. And I know that's saying a lot, but when you bring in, his ability to extend and his ability to create and his awareness of where everybody is on the field, there's really not a part of his game that he can't use to win a game. And I don't know if you can say that about all the quarterbacks in the NFL.
Wilson backs up, takes the snap from the gun. Here is Carson. And, we know how good they were with the running attack, led the league last year behind Carson. You asked Wilson on Friday, you want to throw a little bit more this year? And he said, look, all I want to do is I want to win more. First words out of his mouth. He cares very little about stats.
But you look at his stats, I mean, he doesn't have the attempts. He had 427 attempts. That's the least amount since his second year in the league. But his stats, and especially the stats that really matter, he's top 1 or 2 or 3 in the NFL.
Fake handoff there, and Wilson is buried. Cincinnati coming with their defense. Carlos Dunlap. Well, as much as they have struggled the last couple of years, the two constants have been Dunlap and Atkins up front. It's a loss of 11.
And this is kind of an interesting protection. The entire line is going to slide to the left. And then the tight end, everybody's going to slide here, and then the tight end's going to bump Dunlap and then let him go. So Dunlap just gets right off, and he's trying to release for Russell Wilson to dump it off in the flat, but number 96 gets in the backfield too fast.
So where he sits in their all-time sack list, delayed handoff, Carson. Seattle just trying to get some of those yards back. Clayton Fejedelem, who led the Bengals in tackles last year as a rookie there on the tackle. And a good start for Lou Anarumo. First time as a full-time defensive coordinator in the NFL.
Outstanding.
Back-to-back 3-and-outs.
Tackling is going to be key. Last year's Bengal defense was one of the worst tackling defense in the NFL. And Chris Carson is one of the best tackle breakers in the league. That was an outstanding open field tackle to get off the field.
Here's Dixon's punt. And Erickson's going to play it from around his own 35. Breaks the initial tackle. And a late marker throw, and a second flag comes in. Football comes loose. Who's got it? Multiple flags come in, so a lot to unpack here. But first they try to check who's got the football. Erickson, who has been a very impressive return man. Trying to get a little bit more. Seattle has it.
A huge swing.
So already some huge special teams plays in this game. Special teams penalty on Seattle on the punt earlier. It led to the Bengals field goal drive. As we wait the call here from Bradley Rogers.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both by the return team. Blocking the back, number 34 of the return team. Blocking the back, number 57 of the return team. Those fouls are declined. It'll be first down, Seattle.
Jermaine Pratt, Samaje Perine. The culprits. Russell Wilson gets it back.
You see the rookie right there, number 55, Ben Burr-Kirven. Nice little 5th-round local product, making his impact felt and setting up Russell Wilson inside the 45-yard line. What an outstanding play right there for Seattle. Now, all of a sudden, working with something.
Ben Burr-Kirven led the country in college football in tackles last year. Just down the road, at Washington. And did Erickson maybe step out of bounds here before the fumble? Right there, boy, his heel awfully close.
There's Green right there. It's close, but what a setup. Now, here's what you got to watch out for if you're Cincinnati. Sudden change. Of course, you always look for shots down the field, but when Russell Wilson starts to get in plus territory, that's where you start to see the bootlegs, and you start to see him getting outside the pocket, and you start to see the deep crossing routes. That's how they like to take their shots, the closer they get to the end zone.
So the first real test for Lou Anarumo's Cincinnati defense here.
They started out that last drive. There's a lot of talk about all the defensive linemen and how deep they are up front. On that last drive, they went with a 5 defensive line set to try and take away the Seahawks running game.
Carson, a long setback. Wilson from the gun with under a minute left in the quarter. Little short pass. Carson has some room. Able to get those big shoulder pads downhill. He's inside the 35, a pickup of 9. Finally tackled by Dunlap.
Not a huge threat out of the backfield. You're not going to see a lot of wide receiver type routes that you might see from a guy like C.J. Prosise, but in the screen game, just trying to get him in the open field is what they want to do with Carson.
Little read option play as Wilson gives it up here to Carson, and that will be a Seattle first down as they take us to the end of the first quarter. A Randy Bullock field goal, the long points so far, 3-0 Cincinnati. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Microsoft Surface. And by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Push button, get mortgage.
Oh, what a great day that was. Late August, Make-A-Wish children and their families treated to a special day here with the Seahawks. The Make-A-Wish kids became a player for a day. They toured the team's facilities, interacted with Russell Wilson and the team. What a moment for those kids.
Sparrow, Rashad Penny and Chris Carson are on the field in the game at the same time. Look for Carson, little reverse right here.
Wilson looking in his direction, and he is going down again. Second time they've sacked him. Sam Hubbard getting there first for the Bengals. Hubbard so good as a rookie last year, the former third-round pick out of Ohio State.
We talked about this part of the field. You've got to be alert for bootlegs against Wilson and the Seahawks, and that is a great job by Hubbard, who really came on the scene last year. 6 sacks as a rookie, worked his way into the starting lineup, but he just did a great job against an elusive quarterback on the bootleg to make a tackle for a loss.
You know, 4 of those 6 sacks coming over the final 7 games of the season. Really started to figure it out second half of the year. After a loss of 9, second and 19, here they come again. Wilson barely able to get it out to Carson. Dunlap was right on his back, and boy, a relentless start by the Cincinnati defense. Heavy pressure from Andrew Billings. It's a loss of 3 and already some early boos here in Seattle.
I don't know what was better, the rush by Billings or Wilson to get rid of this ball and flip it to Carson. What a great job by Billings using his hands with the swim move, and then what could have been a disaster, Wilson gets it out. Carson tries to do as much as he can, but right now, with all the heat the defense took last year, they have come out to play so far in this game against the Seahawks.
On 3rd and 22, Wilson was just able to step up, evade the sack. They keep coming. Wilson's pass is incomplete. Just has not been able to get comfortable at any moment. Will Dissly, the intended receiver. Hubbard was coming with the heat that time. And a Seattle offensive drive that started with a lot of promise after the special teams turnover ends in a punt.
Watch Dunlap, number 96. He's the spy on this play. And not every day you see a big 6'6", 285-pound spy, but he did a great job of mirroring Wilson And the Bengal defense so far, we talk about Russell Wilson extending plays. They have done such a good job when he makes his move to try and extend and get outside the pocket.
Marker throwing
False
here.
start. Offense. Number 28. 5-yard penalty. Remains 4th down.
So Dixon will have a couple of more yards here to punt. Second special teams penalty against Seattle. Seahawks, by the way, have just 1 first down till this point, as this Cincinnati defense has been part of the early story. Dixon trying to angle this punt, keep him inside or around that 10-yard line. Fair catch by Erickson after the perfectly placed 38-yard punt by Dixon. 3-0 Cincinnati. A pretty good start, all things considered, if you're a Cincinnati fan. 3-0 as we play early stages, second quarter. The rookie head coaching debut of that man, Zach Taylor, second youngest head coach in the league behind his former colleague in LA, Sean McVay. Taylor, 36 years young, hoping to build on this 3-0 lead. Marker thrown just beyond the line of scrimmage. Ross with the catch. We'll see if this one's coming back. It's a pickup of 7 if it stands.
Illegal formation. Offense. Number 11 was covering the tight end. 5-yard penalty. Remains 1st down.
So Ross, the man, penalized. Arch Jadeveon Clowney, Seattle debut. What do you think so far?
Well, early returns say that he looks pretty good to me. Flying around, blocking, knocking down screens. Don't try and block him with a tight end, because that's not going to work. Nice little inside move on the left tackle, Andre Smith. And so far, we weren't quite sure how many plays he was going to play, but already making an impact, and he's only going to get better as the season goes on.
Dalton's pass dangerously thrown and incomplete. Intended receiver again was Ross. And we asked Clowney about the initial shock and surprise of getting that call. He came at about 1:00 a.m. Saturday last weekend. He said by 6 a.m. he was on a flight, and he's been in scramble mode ever since. He said he's still trying to figure out where the cafeteria is at the team facility. Couldn't have been any more excited than he is about this new team.
He sure looks like he knows exactly what he's doing out here today.
On the sideline at the moment, trying to catch his breath. Dalton from the end zone on 2nd and 15. Here is Mixon, able to sneak out across the 15-yard line. Tackled on the play by Flowers. It's a pickup of 10. And we'll see what Zach Taylor dials up here on 3rd down.
Well, I think it's interesting to note. Now, this is 3rd down, so it's a little different. But Seattle on 1st and 2nd down against the 3 wide receiver sets of Cincinnati are playing with 3 linebackers. They're not subbing a nickel defensive back for one of their linebackers. Michael Kendricks is staying on the field, and so far the Bengals have not been able to exploit that matchup.
Saw Ken Norton, second season as their defensive coordinator here in Seattle. 3rd and 5. Dalton trying to escape, cannot. First sack for Seattle. It's Quentin Jefferson, the former 5th-round pick out of Maryland. A loss of 6. Bengals will punt.
Well, Clowney on the outside and then Jefferson on the inside. The Bengals running crossing routes to try and beat man coverage. And really a nice job by Jefferson to disengage from the block, fall off, and get to Andy Dalton. And when you look at Seattle, like their 2 main rushers, Frank Clark and Jaron Reed. Clark is gone, but Reed suspended, not playing in this game. Jefferson was the next highest sack leader with 3 sacks.
Fair catch signaled by Lockett. An excellent field position to start for Wilson and Seattle. When we come back, a little extra pushing and shoving as tempers flare here in Seattle. Just 1 first down so far, 3 possessions for Seattle. There's Brian Schottenheimer, their offensive coordinator, trying to figure some things out. Good starting position here inside Cincinnati territory. Pitch play here to Rashad Penny. Able to duck his way inside the 45-yard line. Boy, how impressive has the Cincy defense, Adam, looked so far?
A little bit different than last year. You know what's interesting? They were historically one of the worst defenses. Today they're getting after Russell Wilson, but historically one of the worst defenses in the NFL. And so they brought in a whole new coaching staff, but they largely kept the same players. I mean, very rarely are you that bad on one side of the ball, but you bring back all the same players. So far, they've responded on the road.
This is Penny again. They gave up over 413 yards of total offense last year. That was the most by an NFL team in almost 20 years. Of course, their defensive coordinator, Terrell Alston, was fired 9 weeks into the season last year. Marvin Lewis took over the reins, and now Lou Anarumo, a first-time full-time defensive coordinator, had the interim tag in Miami after that Joe Philbin coaching change there a couple of years ago. Excited to try to figure things out with the Cincinnati defense. And so far, so good here on opening day.
3rd and 3. Seahawks are in bunch, so they're expecting man-to-man coverage.
Carson, the quick pitch. Or Wilson to Carson, rather. And this likely to be a false start against Seattle.
False start. Offense. Number 88. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
It's Disley, the second-year tight end.
Backside tight end Will Disley. Not a very good circle there for that angle, but you get the point, right?
You've been better with the circles.
Yeah, I don't think the circle is. I'm going to delete it from my tool set because that didn't work out so well.
Pete Carroll pacing the sidelines, hoping his offense can find the sticks here on 3rd and 7.
Look for Wilson to attack the inside versus zone.
Wilson over the middle, and only the second first down of the half as he locates Disley for 13.
This is zone coverage. Watch the safety drop out to the middle of the field, and then Wilson's going to hit the tight end, Will Disley, right behind him. This is zone coverage, and that void in the zone wide open. Wilson saw the safety bail on the snap, gets the ball out of his hands, and picks up the first down. Really great read by Wilson.
Disley, whose promising rookie season last year was cut short by that patellar tendon injury. Just 4 games into the season. Penny giving Carson a blow. Wilson's pass is caught. Second reception for the rookie, DK Metcalf. And he's flexing some big muscles, tackled after a pickup of 16.
Dre Kirkpatrick is a big corner. He's in press, but he backs up too much. He gives way too much space and doesn't challenge Metcalf on the line of scrimmage. That's an easy release for Metcalf, who has free access to the inside and does a really nice job catching that ball from Wilson. But you get up in press coverage, you've got to challenge him. That is a big, athletic wide receiver. You got to make him work for those receptions.
Carson in motion. Misdirection. It's Carson inside the 10, nearly to the 5-yard line. Boy, once this guy gets downhill, he is so strong. Finally tackled a pickup of 11. Sam Hubbard on the stop.
You know what's amazing about Carson? He's 5'11". He's listed at 222. But I think he's a lot bigger than that. He's a hard-running, downhill running back. But when it comes to breaking tackles and making tacklers miss, he was the best in the NFL last season. He had 33 plays of runs of 10 yards or more and making the extra defender miss.
On 1st and goal, read option here. Carson breaking a couple of tackles. Taking on a tackler, able to get back to the line of scrimmage. Maybe a pickup of a yard. And we touched on how good he was last year. 5th in the league in rushing, over 1,100 yards. First 1,000-yard rusher for Seattle since Marshawn Lynch in 2014.
Pete Carroll has a really good idea of what kind of running back that he wants in his offense. And Chris Carson plays that perfectly. Now, Rashad Penny only had 419 yards last year, only 85 carries. He's another big physical back. Now, he likes to bounce it a little bit more, but I think we're going to see a little bit of Rashad Penny as well make a contribution this season to the Seattle running game. In the game right now.
That's Penny in motion. 3 wide receivers for Wilson. 2nd and goal. To the end zone, incomplete. This will be a pass interference. Metcalf was held up by B.W. Webb, one of the newest secondary players for Cincinnati. And they're talking about it.
That's the matchup. DK Metcalf going all 6'4".
Pass interference. Defense, number 23. By rule, the ball is placed at the 1 yard line. It's first down.
And Webb, he's the shortest of the starting 3 cornerbacks at 5'11". That's the matchup. And Webb, he's playing outside leverage. He doesn't have to get his hands on Metcalf. He's in good position. He just needs to have confidence that once he's in position, turn your head and then play the football.
Webb, the former 4th-round pick of Dallas, playing with his 6th different team in 6 years. He actually played for Lou Anarumo with the Giants last season. First and goal after the penalty. Carson into the end zone for the Seattle touchdown.
Look at this gap here. And there's nobody to fill Carson going up inside. That's easy on the goal line. Both defensive tackles playing in the A gaps right beside the center. And there's nobody to fill the gap next to him. And that's easy for number 32 to get Seattle's first touchdown of the season.
7 plays, 48 yards in just over 4.5 minutes. 10th career rushing touchdown for the budding star Chris Carson. Point after by Jason Myers is good. Carson won't have many easier touchdown runs than that. Seattle in front.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM. Modelo, a taste that's pure gold, brewed for those with a fighting spirit. And by Pizza Hut, official pizza sponsor of the NFL.
The Emerald City, one of the truly great, underrated cities in America. No way better to see it than from a seaplane. Our Tony Tosti up on the seaplane yesterday getting some aerial shots. Beautiful pictures of downtown Seattle. So great to have you with us. Spiro Ditas, Adam Archuleta, rest of our CBS crew from Seattle. Touchdown run by Chris Carson, getting the Seahawks their first points. A reminder to keep it here. Coming up, the Verizon halftime report. JB, Phil, Nate Boomer, and Coach Cower standing by to take you around the league. First Sunday of the season. It's all next on the Verizon halftime report. Some interesting scores around the league already. We saw Tennessee go to Cleveland and wallop the Browns. How about that?
Fascinating week 1. But if you learned anything about being a football fan over the last several years, usually what happens in week 1 really has no bearing on the rest of the season.
Dalton almost exclusively from the shotgun already. And we talked about the mystery with the Cincinnati offense off to a pretty good start. But this Seattle defense kind of fully turning the page from the Legion of Boom. The trade of Frank Clark to Kansas City in the offseason. Didn't really know where the pass rush was going to come. Then the blockbuster that brings Clowney here last week. A lot of moving parts, but the potential to be one of the great defenses they've had here. And we know how good they had been over the years around that Super Bowl in 14. Giovanni Bernard. I beg your pardon, it's C.J. Uzomah on the reception. Big play for Cincinnati. A pickup of 36.
Well, Seahawks, again, they're staying in their base defense against the 3 wide receiver sets. So you know you're going to get zone coverage because they're not going to put Michael Kendricks on a wide receiver. So Dalton knows that if they're going to stay in their base 4-3 defense, there's going to be holes open on the zone. And that time, the Seahawks secondary completely dropped Uzomah going right down the seam.
All the injuries that they've had in that tight end room the last couple of years. Uzomah starting to come into his own. Dalton, a little flea flicker action. He's got Ross, and he is into the end zone for the touchdown. And how about that answer for Cincinnati? 33 yards from Dalton.
What a great play call and execution. John Ross starts on the right side, motions behind Dalton, and then is going to just leak out and run the wheel route. Everybody reacts to Giovanni Bernard on the handoff. And then they don't see Ross up here leaking out of the backfield. That is just an outstanding job of play calling at just the right time. And when you practice those plays during the week, it sure feels good when you hit them when it counts in the game.
Ross, who last year had only 21 catches total, 7 of which were touchdowns, has his first one early here in 2019. Point after by Bullock, and the Bengals retaking the lead on a quick striking drive off the right arm of Dalton and the legs of Ross. 10-7 Cincinnati on CBS. As John Ross, 8th career touchdown catch, 6 of which, interestingly, have come on the road. What a start for the Cincinnati offense. Heavy underdogs today in Seattle. And Andy Dalton, 2 big throws on that drive. The 36-yarder to the tight end, C.J. Uzomah, and then the 33-yarder to Ross for the touchdown. Andy Dalton was excited to play for his new head coach. There was some kind of an answer from their offense.
Yep.
Rashad Penny taking a knee in the end zone and have to be encouraged so far if you're Taylor and that coaching staff on the sideline.
Yeah, absolutely. On the road in this environment, I think the most impressive thing really is how they played a clean game. You remember last year they had so many false starts, and there's no chance to come in this environment on the road and make a lot of mistakes and have a chance to beat the Seattle Seahawks. So, you know, on the flip side, I think now Russell Wilson, you saw them start to get some things going in their last drive, but now they have to have an answer for what Cincinnati did. There's 5 minutes left here in the first half, and the Seahawks have to get a good drive going here.
Seahawks begin this drive with Rashad Penny in the backfield. And Penny is stuffed at the line of scrimmage. Well, I have to say, it's going to take some getting used to seeing the Bengals play without Marvin Lewis pacing the sideline. First time that they're playing a game with a head coach other than Marvin, December of 2002, as the Zach Taylor era begins in the Queen City.
Yeah, and they took a lot of heat probably for hiring Zach Taylor, who didn't even call plays last year for Sean McVay. And, you know, obviously the age being the big story of a guy that just doesn't have a lot of experience.
Wilson from the gun on the 2nd and 10. And off here to Penny. Able to break that first maneuver. And Taylor, the last couple of years with McVay, who was the only guy who's a younger head coach in the league, started as the assistant wide receiver coach, and then last year coaching quarterbacks. Got a lot of credit for the influence he had on Jared Goff, and hoping to work his quarterback magic now with Dalton.
Yeah, one heck of a coaching tree that Sean McVay, with all his success, has had. You've got a lot of newness versus a lot of experience, and Pete Carroll on the other sideline.
Son of a coach, grew up in Norman, Oklahoma. Former starting collegiate quarterback at Nebraska. Wilson's pass incomplete. You see the marker come in late. Intended receiver was Metcalf, the rookie. And we'll get the call here with 3:45 left in the second.
Yeah, Metcalf pushed off at the top of his route.
Pass interference. Offense. Number 14. The penalty is declined. 4th down.
Bottom of the screen, and Drake Kirkpatrick playing inside leverage, and I don't know, maybe you see it from that ankle, it looks like maybe Kirkpatrick just fell and got off balance. But
working against Drake Kirkpatrick, who of course has become such a key piece to the Cincinnati secondary. Erickson's going to play it from around his own 20, tripped up just short of the 30-yard line. 51 yards in the punt return of 11. Back in 30 seconds after this from State Farm. 3-point Bengals lead. 3:35 left to play in this opening half. Strong start for a Cincinnati team that missed the playoffs last year for a third straight year, just 6-10. Led to the departure of Marvin Lewis. Trying to build on a 3-point lead. Mixon able to wiggle his way three. And Arch, a lot of people will see this score that are watching some of the other games and they'll be surprised, but it just kind of reminds you how wacky and unpredictable the first weekend of the NFL season usually is.
It is. There's so many unknowns. There's not a lot of tape to work with. You have new coaches on one side of the ball. You just never know how everything's going to come together, but you can't overreact on week one. You've got to take the NFL in the season one game at a time. But so far, you've got to be really excited for how the Bengals have come all the way here in Seattle on the road and have played this first half.
Mixon trying to cut back. Well played. Michael Kendricks. And boy, Pete Carroll's so excited about this linebacking trio. Of course, we know about Wagner and KJ Wright, but Kendricks, whom they signed last September, Carroll thinks this could be as good as any linebacker trio that they have ever had here.
He's so excited, he's keeping him on the field against the Bengals' 3 wide receiver sets. And I think that's why you've seen Andy Dalton throw so much here in the first half, of taking advantage of that Seahawks defense where they have a matchup advantage because of that alignment.
Seattle still has all 3 timeouts plus the 2-minute warning if they can get off the field. This one is close to the marker but appears to be short as Tyler Eifert with his first catch. Bradley McDougal was there, well played, and the Bengals will punt.
Nice job, McDougal at the top, number 30. Does a good job getting through the pick, making a sure tackle, and not allowing Eifert to get yards after the catch. And these safeties, we got some safeties here that are a little bit different than what we've seen in the past with, Earl Thomas, of course, Cam Chancellor. 2 different styles of safeties, but Seahawks feel good about them.
2-minute warning. Seattle gets it back, down 3.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon, the network more people rely on. And by Jersey Mike Subs. Be a sub above.
Final 2 minutes before the intermission. Cincinnati will punt here. And Russell Wilson will get it back. Fair catch signaled by Lockett right around his own 23-yard line. So Seattle will have 3 timeouts. We'll see what this offense can do. A slow start for Russell Wilson's unit, but starting to look better in the second quarter.
Little surprised that, you just mentioned Lockett's name receiving that punt, but as the guy that had a breakout season and the one that's supposed to replace Doug Baldwin as the go-to alpha in this passing game, Russell Wilson is yet to throw to him. But I would imagine here in a 2-minute drill, remember, Russell Wilson is an aggressive quarterback when he runs the 2-minute drill. Wouldn't be surprised to see him target his favorite receiver, Lockett, on this drive.
Wilson, a little underneath to the check down. It's Carson. Upended out of bounds. Officials will stop the clock at $1:48 left to play. Trey Kirkpatrick on the tackle after a pickup of 7. A reminder again to keep it here. The Verizon halftime report comes your way next. JB and the fellas standing by in New York. Get you caught up around the league on the Verizon halftime report. Wilson just able to get it out, and it's incomplete. Squirted through the hands of Carson, and now Kirkpatrick. Boy, if this is on Kirkpatrick, that is a massive mistake.
I think they're going to get 27 on this. I don't know what was said, but he's certainly the guy that pushed Carson. Carson got a little shove, but I don't think anybody saw the first one.
Just can't have any mental lapses, not here.
Right at the end of the play, Carson shoved Kirkpatrick in the back.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 27, defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
But Kirkpatrick, the former first-round pick, 5th season as their starter, has to know better than that.
That's the type of play that you've just got to be smart and play good football. You have played a brilliant, see a little shove right there at the end, and then that's the one that they got. Now, I don't know. You got 2 alphas going at it. Sometimes emotions get high there, but you've just got to know you played a great first half it would be a shame to let the Seahawks go down the field and score because you gave them free 15 yards.
So 1st and 10 after the penalty. Here comes Fedglin on the blitz. They pick him up nicely. Wilson taking a shot. He's got Metcalf. Brilliant pass by Wilson. 42 yards for Seattle. Clock running. They still have all 3 timeouts left.
Yeah, he's going to
20 left.
He'll take his time. There is no rush right now. The clock is your friend. Your goal is to score and leave the least amount of time, if any time, for Cincinnati.
Wilson to the end zone, incomplete. As the rookie sensation, DK Metcalf, again, we touched on earlier, making his first big contribution for Seattle.
Starts with pass protection on the left side, giving Wilson a pocket, and then Metcalf just winning one-on-one. And that's why they drafted him. Look at the size, how he just blocks out William Jackson. There is no way for Jackson to make a play on this football, and he comes down with a huge play in a 2-minute drive.
Metcalf, we told you earlier, playing 19 days after the minor knee surgery on his leg. Incredible recovery. As Carson held up at the line of scrimmage, trying to fight his way to the 10-yard line. It'll be a pickup of 3 here. Clock stopped at 57 seconds left. Cincinnati will take its second timeout. And it will be 3rd and 7 here. It's still a lot of time on that clock.
And what a huge play. The personal foul on Kirkpatrick. You know, you hate to just keep harping on it, but really you've played almost a perfect first half on defense. You really have for Cincinnati. And to let a guy like Carson get in your head, draw the personal foul, give Wilson in this offense some confidence and some momentum, and then one play later they hit you with a big one right down the sideline. That's the kind of stuff, if you want to consistently win in this league, you just can't do.
Wilson's just too good to give him those chances. 3rd and 7 here. Where does Wilson go?
Metcalf is inside in the slot on this play. They moved him around.
Wilson looking right, throws. This is Carson breaking a couple of tackles. Carson strolls into the end zone for the touchdown. Second touchdown for Carson. One with his legs and one as a pass catcher.
Just a tackle break-in, number 32 out of the backfield to your right. This comes down to tackling. Wilson dumps it off. You have 2 Bengals. Kirkpatrick 1, and then Jesse Bates number 2, and they just bounce right off big Chris Carson as he rolls for another Seahawks touchdown. That is just hard-nosed tackle break-in job by Carson to get in the end zone.
Brian Schottenheimer told us, one of the differences this year, he'd like to use Carson more as a receiver, and you see how close that was. Every scoring play subject to automatic review. Did the ball break the plane before Carson's foot, Adam, landed out of bounds?
Yep, so this might be brought back because the ball goes outside the pylon on this play.
This will be close as they continue to take a look upstairs. Officials have confirmed the touchdown catch by Chris Carson, so it is his 2nd touchdown of the half. And a back-and-forth game continues with Seattle moving back in front. And an impressive week 1 continues for Chris Carson, the number 4. They'll make it 5 leading rusher in the NFL last year. Point after is good. Let's bring in Gene Steratore, our ruse analyst from New York. Gene, what did you see on that last sequence?
Very tight play, Spiro, and because the runner, none of the runner's body part actually lands in the end zone, now it becomes the football when it breaks the plane. By rule, that football has to cross either over the pylon or inside of it. By the views that we have, I don't think there is anything there indisputable enough to overturn it. So by the announcement of stands they'll go with what the officials called on the field, and I do believe it's a good ruling of stands.
All right, Gene Steratore buttoning that up for us in New York. So Carson, who did not have a receiving touchdown all of last year, has one here in week 1 in 2019.
Wow. Well, we said the Seahawks had to answer, and they sure did. Slow start, but now they found themselves with 14 points here in the second quarter.
Second touchdown catch of Carson's career. He had one as a rookie back in 2017 before the season-ending leg injury. So 52 seconds left on the clock. Bengals have one timeout. Seattle has all 3. We'll see how the coaches handle this here as Cincinnati will begin from their own 25.
Well, there's 52 seconds, and a lot of what happens on this drive depends on what happens on first down. And I wouldn't be surprised that if Seattle, if they get a good play here and stop Cincinnati, I wouldn't be surprised to see them call a timeout and at least give a guy like Tyler Lockett a chance to return a punt if Cincinnati has to punt.
So they have to go far to get into Bullock's field goal range. Quick strike. This is Boyd. Brought down right after the catch. A pickup of only 3. By the way, medical update from Seattle. Nico Thorpe, one of their secondary players, is out for the rest of the day with a hamstring injury. So they get a little bit thinner on the back end of the defense. 2nd and 7. Dalton protected again. First down connection. That's Damian Willis with his second catch. The undrafted rookie making the start in place of the injured A.J. Green. A pickup of 17. Timeout Bengals, their last timeout. Back in 30 seconds after this from Jif Peanut Butter. Career-long field goal for Randy Bullock, a 55-yarder. Need about 18 yards to get into his range. That pass incomplete. Boy, John Ross was wide open. Second drop as we have an injured Seahawk defender. It's Ugo Amadi, one of their very impressive first-year players. I believe he ran into his own teammate Bradley McDougal here, and Amadi's still on the turf.
If Ross catches this,
oh boy,
we get a chance to see 5th gear. Everybody's been waiting for that 4.2 speed, and that was his shot. Had a clear sideline to run for a big play. This was, they're going to look at that, and John Ross is going to be sick in the morning. Across the field, and look at this sideline. I mean, he is off to the races.
Now the obvious concern for Seattle is their young rookie Amadi still being tended to on his back, and the obvious concern from some of his defensive teammates. 4th round pick taken with the 132nd overall selection in the draft, and he was kind of the talk of the preseason here in Seattle, and a good sign there as he will jog off on his own power.
He's been splitting time with Akeem King to see who can win that nickel corner spot that was left with Justin Coleman going to the Lions. You see right there.
Never saw McDougal coming. Dangerous play.
Yeah, friendly fire right there, and that.
What's Dalton thinking here? No timeouts.
Seahawks dodged a bullet right there.
16 seconds.
Average play takes about, if you throw this ball in the middle of the field, you might, if you're fast, get a chance to clock it, but it'll be tight. You have to work the sidelines here if you're Dalton.
Target line around the 37 for Seattle. Dalton's going to take a chance. Deep down the field. He's got his man. It's Ross for the touchdown.
No, he didn't.
Majestic pass by Dalton. And Ross atoning for the drop a moment ago with a 55-yard touchdown catch.
This is just incredible. Ross had a clear one, and he makes up for it. Out and up. The free safety on this play in great position. Tedrick Thompson should have intercepted this ball, but he doesn't play the trajectory of the ball, mistimes his jump, and then John Ross goes over the top for a huge play. Unbelievable play. for Ross and the Bengals.
With 16 seconds left in the half, Andy Dalton with a home run delivery to John Ross.
I mean, that's just unbelievable.
Ross, the kid they took with the 9th overall pick back in 17, his rookie year basically awash with the multitude of injuries. Bounced back last year. And what a play here on the bomb from Dalton.
Out and up, Thompson, the free safety, plays it as good as you can, but he mistimes, doesn't play the right trajectory. And it might be worth noting that the guy that, you know, has been manning that position here for so many years, Earl Thomas, who is probably the best deep middle safety in the NFL, maybe missing a little bit of Earl Thomas on that play.
Thomas, who, by the way, had an interception today in his debut with the Baltimore Ravens. And Cincinnati back in front as this seesaw game continues. Boy, how about this stat line for Ross? 3 catches, 108 yards, and 2 touchdowns. As Penny fields the bouncer. And brought down right around the 25-yard line with 2 seconds left. What this exciting opening half.
What a bizarre game from Ross. You know, one of the things is you keep hearing the same word over and over again with Ross. It's confidence. They said he's got all the skill, all the speed. He has everything he needs to put it all together. But confidence to just go out there and just start playing football, having fun, and making plays. And right there is what it's all about.
I mentioned the injuries that he had as a rookie a couple of years ago. He actually missed most of the preseason this year. Had that pretty significant hamstring injury. But boy, he has not skipped a beat. Couple of touchdowns, and he's given the Bengals a 3-point lead at halftime. Through 2 quarters in Seattle. Halftime next after these first half highlights from Verizon and a word from your local station. Back with you in Seattle. Let's take a look at the first half highlight presented by DirecTV with the Bengals in front 17-14. The home run ball at the end. 16 seconds left when this ball was snapped. Andy Dalton, 2nd touchdown pass to John Ross, going airborne. Over 100 yards receiving for Ross, and what a start for him and this Bengals offense. Spiro Ditas and Adam Archuleta back in the booth. Surprised?
A little bit surprised. Again, you never know what you're going to get here. I think what really stands out is how the Bengals offense, you talk about it so much, how hard it is to play in this building. They've had a clean game, and they've gone out and they've attacked the Seattle defense.
We saw the 2nd touchdown from Dalton to Ross. Take us back, Adam, to the first. Dalton really spreading the wealth to his receivers in the first half.
And they're taking advantage of Seattle playing with 3 linebackers. They're going to run this corner deep. And watch Ross. He's going to come in motion. That puts him in a matchup with a strong linebacker, Michael Kendricks. That should be a defensive back. Now Kendricks is out in space with one of the fastest men in the NFL. He doesn't recognize it, and Ross runs right by him. So the Seahawks coming into this game, matching up with Cincinnati's personnel, playing 3 linebackers on the field, and then Zach Taylor and his offensive staff making an adjustment, designing a play to go right at that linebacker and capitalizing with a big play.
See the first half stats. Interesting here. Cincinnati had gone 16 straight games since their last touchdown pass of 40 or more yards. Tied with Oakland for the longest active streak entering play today. You have to go back to December of 2017, 2 seasons ago. And so that streak is over. The rain has started to come down here in Seattle. See how that affects at least the early going here in the 3rd quarter. Seattle has not lost a September home game since Pete Carroll took over in 2010, 14-0. And they haven't lost a home opener here since 2008, even further back than that. So here's Russell Wilson. 8 of 13 in the first half, 98 yards and a touchdown pass to Carson. Trying to answer here to begin the second half.
Slow start for the Seahawks, but they started to find a pretty nice rhythm there in the second quarter. I thought it was interesting when I talked to Pete Carroll on the field before the game and just talking about the concept of starting fast. And he said, I don't really care about starting fast. He said, it doesn't mean anything to me. He said, I just want our guys to go out there and play football. And if we just get back to playing football, no matter how we start, we'll be in a position at the end of the game to win.
That's right.
Man in motion is Lockett. As Wilson begins the third quarter with the play action. Carson out of the backfield. This will be a first down catch and run. Ball comes loose. Was it out before he went to the turf? No signal yet. And it will be Cincinnati football. Dre Kirkpatrick on the recovery. We'll see if they take another look at this. I'm sure they will.
Yeah, I think that ball came out, and I think Carson's lucky too. His ankle kind of folded underneath him. But yes, in my opinion, this ball comes out
clearly.
And who is that diving off of the top rope to get that ball out? Is that Preston Brown?
Yes, it is. The Cincinnati kid making a monstrous play for Cincinnati's defense.
What a play from Preston Brown. You get the sense that he was a little excited yesterday, Spiro, when we talked to him in our meetings about playing in this game.
Talked about how unique a situation this is. Just 4 linebackers on their active roster. Says he's never experienced anything like that before. So it's the first time I've been in a linebacker meeting where we all have our own table.
One of the great tacklers in the NFL just a few seasons ago. Had some injuries last year, so he really couldn't contribute. Felt like to him it was a lost season, but he is excited to get out back on the field and contribute to this defense.
Takeaway by Cincinnati's defense on the very first play of the third quarter. Little sidearm delivery to Uzomah. Had the big reception in the second quarter. Finally tackled by Flowers. 15 yards and a first down. Arch, how important is it to score a touchdown for Cincinnati?
Well, look, you're in field goal range. I think if you came into this game and you're Cincinnati and you said, at halftime, week 1 on the road, we're going to have 17 points, and then we're going to take the ball away on the very first play in the third quarter and set ourselves up inside the 15-yard line, I think Zach Taylor would take that.
First down run here by Mixon, who's been quiet till this point. Most of their damage has come off the arm of Dalton. Bobby Wagner on the tackle, a pickup of only a yard.
Something tells me that if you design a run, you've got to figure out a way not to have a 7-yard hole in Bobby Wagner with nobody blocking him downfield. I mean, there's not many times that he's not going to make that tackle, and Joe Mixon is a slippery back to tackle when he's inside the hole, but Bobby Wagner's a great one.
Wagner as good as they get. Massive contract extension in the offseason. 4-time first-team All-Pro. So my J.P. Ryan onto the field. That pass deflected, and it's intercepted. Al Woods with a defensive gem.
I think the ball just slipped out. I don't think that ball was deflected, Spear. I think the ball slipped out of Dalton's hand in the middle of his throw.
Arch, you're right. It has been raining here for the last 10 minutes. That slick football may have scored it out of Dalton's hand.
Jefferson, number 99, is coming scot-free, and the ball just comes right out of Dalton's hand. How about Al Woods, the big run stuffer? Big boy out of Tennessee. Getting an interception. I didn't know what to expect, coming into this game, but this is a pretty entertaining football game. I can't think of a better way to start out week 1.
Al Woods making the start, and he will continue in that role for the first 6 weeks, likely with Jaron Reed suspended and unavailable for the first 6 games of the season. So here's Carson now trying to atone for that fumble a moment ago, and he is blown up by Carlos Dunlap. Nick Vigil was also in the vicinity. It's a loss of 6. And this Seattle offense once again in a rut.
It was a pretty athletic move. Dunlap on Dwayne Brown just beats Brown to the inside. Just right upfield, beats Seattle's best blocker, the left tackle, Dwayne Brown. Outstanding job. You know what we haven't seen from Seattle? We haven't seen him use George Fant coming in as a tight end yet.
Or this Cincinnati defense playing so well. Nick Vigil with a stick.
We just saw Bobby Wagner one-on-one in the hole. And how about Vigil, 59, just mirror Chris Carson. Look at this tackle. Put your helmet right under the chin, drive your legs, and put the running back on your back. There's some good football being played here by both defenses.
Vigil, the former third-round pick out of Utah State, third season as a starter for the Bengals. See the late marker come in with Carson right out of bounds. Once again, the groans from this crowd in Seattle. This one likely to be a hold. Tackle made by Kirkpatrick.
Offense, number 14. Penalty is declined. Fourth down.
And another 3-and-out forced by the Bengals.
This defense is fired up.
And Adam, you made the point last year, as bad as they were defensively, this is basically the same defensive personnel that they had. No major changes.
Nope.
With, of course, the exception of the defensive coordinator and the staff. But in terms of the players, it's basically the same group.
They did have a lot of injuries, which certainly was a contributing factor. But
Erickson will play just outside his own 20. And brought down just short of the 30. 58 yards on the punt by Dixon. 7 on the return. As Andy Dalton and Cincinnati will get it back up 3 early third. Well, the SEC on CBS returns on Saturday when the second-ranked Crimson Tide face their first test of the season as they hit the road for a clash with South Carolina. But first, join us for the drive to Atlanta, followed by college football today. The best game from the best conference, always right here on CBS. Speaking of South Carolina, the former Gamecock, Jadeveon Clowney, awfully impressive so far in his Seattle debut. Here he comes again. Trying to chase Mixon, going to right. You see the rain now starting to come down a little harder as Bernard, I beg your pardon, the ball carrier. Poona Ford, who both Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson mentioned in our meetings on Friday. They really are excited about this kid's future.
they needed to get better up front and stopping the run. I thought at times last year they got pushed around a bit inside. And when teams ran well on them, they really attacked the edges. And that's where I think Pete Carroll getting some big run stuffers in there and bringing guys like Al Woods from Tennessee and Poona Ford getting a chance to step in there for Jaron Reed. You know, Michael Kendricks setting the edge on the outside certainly are pieces that they feel will really shore up this run defense.
Those rain ponchos coming out in full force. This is Bernard again, ducking across the 30. Tackled by Bobby Wagner. These folks always prepared for the rain. This is what it feels like usually in Seattle. It's football weather. And we'll see how the rain and the slickness, which already has been a factor here, kind of changes the dynamic of this game down the stretch.
Yeah, and two teams that really have not run the ball in this game have been primarily in the pass. And there's Bobby Wagner right there. Made that last tackle. He is so patient and he is so smart. There are not a lot of things you can do to fool Bobby Wagner. He's all over the field.
Where does Dalton go on 3rd and 8? High pass, Bernard, the check down. Bernard, first down, catching one. Still going. Bernard showing the wheels. The football loose, but it's out of bounds. Bradley McDougall there for the punch out, but not before Bernard burns him for 35 and a first down.
What a big play. Giovanni Bernard is going to come out of the backfield on the screen, and I thought just for a second, number 99, Quentin Jefferson, had a chance to tackle him. He was all over it. Nice little peel back block right there, but Giovanni Bernard, a guy that had the least amount of touches that he's ever had last year, but they thought so highly of him, they extended him in the offseason and thought that he would be a great compliment to Joe Mixon. That was the big play right there.
Bernard, the featured guy so far on this drive, climbing the ranks in terms of pass catches by running backs in franchise history. Yeah, the other big story for Cincinnati, we touched on how good their offense has been. They're doing it behind this patchwork offensive line. We know Cordy Glenn is out, still in the concussion protocol. Andre Smith making the start at left tackle. Jonah Williams, the young kid they took with the 11th overall pick, with that devastating injury.
And I think the worry was coming into this game in this stadium was that the offensive line was going to be a major story. And the fact that it hasn't been means that they have done a tremendous job against the Seattle front.
Another misdirectional play. This is Boyd. Seahawks were not fooled as Boyd unable to find the edge. Tackled by Shaquille Griffin. A pickup of 3. It'll be 3rd down. This is the turmoil that they're dealing with up front with that offensive line. Alex Redmond suspended the first 4 games by the NFL. It's a PED suspension. But so far, so good.
This is typically where Seattle likes to play a lot of zone coverage. But Andy Dalton, when he has seen Seattle zone, he's been able to pick it apart. So look for Seattle to go back to man-to-man.
This is Bernard, short of the first down. He picks up 4. Brandon Jackson on the tackle for Seattle. This could be a tough field goal here for Randy Bullock, who has converted on 1 already, a 39-yarder in the first half. But that rain has subsided a little bit, Arch, but it's still coming down. Veteran kicker who has hit 35 of his last 38 attempts from inside of 50 yards. This will be a 45-yard attempt. Good snap, good hold, and Bullock's kick is no good. Wide left. And Cincinnati comes up empty.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Experian. Raise your credit scores instantly with Experian Boost. Domino's. Order online and track your order. And by Progressive, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance.
Back with you in Seattle. Still drizzling here in the Pacific Northwest. Randy Bullock thinking about that miss from 45 yards out. So Cincinnati's lead remains at 3 with 7 and change left in quarter number 3. Wilson dunking initially, and he is going down again. Kirkpatrick, sack number 3 by this defense.
Well, Bengal defense came out fired up after halftime. Preston Brown punching it out from Carson. Carlos Dunlap creating a little havoc. How about Nick Vigil getting a little chest plate action right there on Chris Carson. And then Nick Vannett not picking up the blitz. Dre Kirkpatrick coming scot-free off the edge and getting to Wilson. Cincinnati right now flying around the field.
Wilson buried again. It's Sam Hubbard this time. Back-to-back sacks for Cincinnati.
Unbelievable. This is just speed off the edge. Jermaine Ifedi, the right tackle, maybe the one piece that had to get better, just gets beat with speed around the edge. Wilson has no chance. Ifedi turns his feet perpendicular to the line of scrimmage, gives Hubbard a short corner, and Wilson cannot even set up to throw this pass.
Hubbard had 6 sacks as a rookie last season. He's got 2 in 2.5 quarters here in week 1. Wilson quick exit with the football to the tight end Vannett. A pickup of only 11, well short. And the offensive struggles continue for Russell Wilson and the Seahawks.
You know, Cincinnati kept 4 linebackers on their roster. And one of the things that their coaching staff said is, look, we're really deep at defensive line, and we really feel our defensive linemen are the strengths of our football team. And I would say right now in this game, Cincinnati's defensive line has gotten after Seattle up front. They are winning at the line and playing with great energy.
It's been the story of this game so far. A fair catch, beg your pardon, signaled by Erickson. There's a marker thrown back around the line of scrimmage. 54-yard punt, nicely done by Dixon. As we await the call here from referee Bradley Rogers. Told you earlier, one of 3 first-year NFL referees this season. I'd say a pretty cleanly officiated game till this point.
The less the flags, the better, right? I would say.
Just hope we didn't speak too soon.
During the kick, holding number 82 of the return team, half the distance to the goal, first down.
That's Ethan Carter, the man penalized. It's a tough starting field position for Andy Dalton when we come back. A big developing story here. We've just been told that Joe Mixon is questionable to return an ankle injury, according to what the Bengals are telling us. And so for the moment, Giovanni Bernard, who just signed a contract extension earlier this week, becomes the bell cow for the Bengals. And so far, he has looked impressive. First down run to get the party started here, a pickup of a dozen. This was the play where Mixon got hurt just a couple of minutes ago. You see it as he plants his leg, his left foot there gets kind of run over by the knee of Wagner. And Mixon clearly in some pain. AFC's leading rusher was Mixon last season. And so right now, he's a bystander, at least for the moment. First down pass from Dalton, incomplete. Intended for the rookie Willis. Good coverage by Shaquille Griffin.
That is a great break by Griffin. Again, I kind of keep beating this dead horse, but Seattle's playing with their linebacker, and they're going at Kendricks. You see 56 to the inside. They're going at his zone. And Griffin knows that, so he overplays the inside and breaks on that football. But if the Bengals are smart, they will continue to the two-receiver side. If Seattle plays with Kendricks, they'll keep finding ways to attack that part of the field because that's a mismatch.
Quick delivery by Dalton. Goes to his tight end. It's Eifert. Quiet day so far for Eifert. Tackled on the play by Michael Kendricks. Eifert, of course, coming back from that gruesome ankle injury that he sustained week 4 of last season in Atlanta. Zach Taylor trying to fight through some offensive miscues so far in this quarter.
Seattle's not a big blitzing team, but they have had success when they've sent extra players at Dalton. Right now, it looks like they're playing their safeties back and playing coverage.
Boyd in the slot. Dalton, third down pass. It's Eifert. Needed the 29 for the first down, and they have it. Tackled on the play by Trey Flowers. But when this guy has been healthy, Arch, there aren't many tight ends better than him in the NFL.
Yeah, health is the key. Let's take a look at Clowney and Andre Smith. Inside move, but look how fast the ball comes out. Clowney can't even affect that pass. And Eifert, really nice job knowing where the sticks are. Breaking off his route right at the sticks and beating the press coverage of Flowers.
Eifert has only played 6 games over the last 2 seasons. Ankle and a back injury a couple of years ago. Play action from Dalton. On first down, wide open. That's John Ross, who had over 100 yards receiving in the first half, including the 55-yard touchdown in the closing seconds, a pickup of 24.
Yeah, Dalton throws this ball. I don't know if we can see them both in the same picture. Well before Ross came out of that break. You see Ross stumble just a little bit, but he threw that ball with perfect timing. And when you have speed like Ross, and a cornerback has to respect all 5 cuts at the top of the route tree, and Dalton can throw it with that kind of timing, you can't stop it.
Unbelievable. John Ross last year had just over 200 yards receiving on the season. He's got a $132 so far here. Dalton again puts it there under it. And once again looking in the direction of Ross, it's incomplete. Well played by the back end of the secondary. Griffin once again there as we go to New York. And an update, JP and Boomer.
Spiro and Adam, how about Dak Prescott today? 4 touchdown passes. Here comes number 4, 25 yards to a wide open Randall Cobb. They take a 28-10 lead over the New York Giants. Hey, Adam, can you say cha-ching? Back to you boys out in Seattle.
How does it go, KGB Teddy? Pay that man his money, huh? He wants some of that Jerry Jones bread.
Jerry may have to open up that playbook again, or paycheck. Their second down pass here is Uzama. Multiple catches for C.J. Uzomah, finally getting a chance to play with his good buddy Eifert. They've been teammates the last couple of years, but Eifert just hasn't been able to stay healthy. A pickup of 9 for the Bengals.
Now, the one thing that we've seen from Cincinnati, and Andy Dalton talked about it in our meetings, that he just felt that they had the skill set offensively to be multiple. And they haven't done a good job of running the ball in this game, but in their passing game, they have found different ways in different formations and different play styles to get the ball out of Dalton's hands, and that front has not been able to affect him in the pocket.
Play action faked to Bernard. Dalton, wobbly pass, incomplete. Just didn't come out of his hands cleanly, intended for Boyd. And we'll see what they do here on 4th down, just on the fringe of Randy Bullock's field goal range.
They had it. Boyd is going to hide and then go work back across the field, and he's wide open.
Adam offense stays on the field. It looks like Zach Taylor may be taking his first big gamble as a rookie, first-time head coach.
I don't know, 4th and 1. Right now you're sitting with a 3-point lead. You've been playing well. He said one thing he learned from Sean McVay is to be aggressive, to never take your foot off the gas. Here's his chance.
Play clock just to 0. Bernard needs the 35. We'll see where they spot it. And this one will be awfully close. Didn't get it. And Cincinnati unable to capitalize on Taylor's gamble.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FanDuel. This season, there's more ways to win on FanDuel. And by Corona Extra. Find your beach.
Intermittent rain today. Now the sun peeking back through the clouds. As Andy Dalton talking about that last Cincy drive that comes up short. Turnover on downs. This is Rashad Penny. Able to get just past the 40-yard line. Arch, take us back to that 4th down play.
Well, you got to love this. Al Woods, 6'4", 335 pounds, one-on-one with John Miller. And this is how you just get off a block. He just throws Miller out of the way, gets off the block, and stuffs Bernard to get off the field on 4th down. That's why they brought Al Woods, to shore up the inside and not get pushed around.
A little delayed handoff to Penny. And this time he is going backwards. Sean Williams making first contact. I believe they will get him back to the line of scrimmage with his forward progress. But the Seattle offense, 5-3 announced today, trying to get a first down.
Yeah, one of the few times. I thought if Wilson, this is a zone read, and the way Williams was playing it, he kind of had quarterback and running back at the same time. And I thought that if, Wilson pulled that ball, he would have had a chance to beat Williams around the edge. But I am a little shocked today that the Seattle offensive line has just kind of got handled by Cincinnati. I think, to me, that's the story of this offense not being able to get on track.
On 3rd down, Wilson feeling the heat. Puts some air under it, up the seam, and it is caught! Miraculous catch by Metcalf!
This is what you get with Wilson. We got Geno Atkins. He beats the center and gets the quick penetration. And then Wilson always keeping his eyes downfield. And what a concentrated play by Metcalf to come down with that. Look at him flex.
Been calling himself Wolverine. Call himself anything he wants and plays like that. 25-yard pickup. This is Penny bouncing to the outside. Penny! Marker thrown behind the line of scrimmage. We'll see if this one is coming back. Actually, 2 flags. As Penny suddenly has become the workhorse. It's a run of 20 here if it stands.
And we might get a hold on the edge on
Holding
Effetti.
Offense, number 65. 10-yard penalty, remains first down.
Adam, you're exactly right.
I mean, it's kind of easy. When the ball goes outside, you typically blame the right tackle, right? I mean, kind of guess. That's kind of pretty good odds, I'd say.
Trying to give you a compliment.
Yeah,
There's a Fetty right on the edge. And boy, that hurts. Negates a 20-yard run by Penny. As that will take us to the end of the third quarter in Seattle. We'll return after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Randy Bullock on your left, missing a 45-yard field goal attempt earlier, as Cincinnati was unable to build on their lead. There's Jason Myers on your right, hoping to get another chance. Career long for Myers, a 58-yarder. So that costly penalty on Seattle's right tackle a moment ago, Jermaine Ifedi, negating the 20-yard run by Rashad Penny. So it's 1st and 20 from the Cincinnati 44. Wilson, little read option, faking the run, passing, wide open. It's Tyler Lockett for the touchdown. 44 yards from Wilson.
Play action pass. You can't, if you've got deep middle responsibility, you've got to stay in the deep middle. This is a 3-deep defense, and the free safety has to be in the middle. He comes down, takes the crosser, and there's nobody to replace in the post for Tyler Lockett.
Just a massive defensive breakdown for a Cincinnati defense that has been so good today for the most part. Russell Wilson just too good to give him those kinds of chances. 20th career touchdown catch for the budding star Tyler Lockett. First time entering a year as the undisputed #1 wide receiver here. Of course, Seattle moving on to the offseason from Doug Baldwin. Lockett trying to build on that sensational season he had last year.
So let me get this straight. Last year, Russell Wilson had a perfect quarterback rating when he targeted Tyler Lockett. And today he targets him one time, has a bomb, and again has a perfect quarterback rating, right?
You know, we asked him about replacing Baldwin, who, you know, the trust between Wilson and Baldwin had gotten so tight over the years, and without hesitation, mentioned Tyler Lockett. So confident in this young man, and it certainly shows it here. First catch, a 44-yard touchdown by Lockett, and Seattle has retaken the lead. A reminder coming up after the game, time permitting, we'll have the State Farm post-game show. JB and the fellas standing by in New York on a wild opening Sunday of the NFL season. Spiro Diaz, Adam Archuleta, our producer Jason Ross, Jim Cornell, our director. Rest of our CBS crew here from CenturyLink Field in Seattle. Well, Cincinnati has had their chances in the second half. The early turnover by Chris Carson, they couldn't capitalize. And right now they're down 4.
Now this was the big one. This is the chance that you really kind of had a chance to put it away, but the ball falls out of Dalton's hands. They get 0 points out of that. That could have been a huge turning point for Cincinnati, and gave them some great momentum for the rest of the game. And then they dial up another play. They miss it, which leads to 4th and 1, and Seattle stuffs them to get off the field. So there have been opportunities for Cincinnati to capitalize, but Wilson comes right back with the ball down the field.
Keep in mind, no Joe Mixon for Cincinnati as Dalton is going down. Quentin Jefferson, 3rd sack for the Seahawks.
Yep. Quentin Jefferson's had himself a game. Number 99, he's going to come on the right side of your screen, and he's going to beat Andre Smith, the left tackle. Beats him with the inside move, flushes Dalton out, and then brings him down. Clowney was the guy who kind of flashed early, but Jefferson has been the most consistent at getting pressure and getting into the Bengals' backfield as the game has gone on.
Jefferson had 3 sacks all of last season. He's got 2 already today. 2nd and 18. Dalton throwing a strike a little bit behind Bernard. He had to kind of turn back for it. An excellent pursuit by Seattle. Again, we remind you, huge story for Cincinnati. Their #1 running back, Joe Mixon, is unavailable at the moment. His return questionable with an ankle injury. And so Gio Bernard who has been a mainstay for this offense for so many years, becomes their go-to guy. Third down.
One of the few times Seattle in this game has been in 3rd and 10-plus situations, and this is where they're so good at playing zone coverage and then letting their front get after the quarterback.
This crowd deafening. Multiple flags. We'll see if this was a free play. It's batted down. Play, I believe, was whistled dead. Players couldn't hear it.
There's a lot of flinching going on up front. Clowney flinched. And
Tyler Boyd may have gone early, and they are still talking about it.
Yeah, so Seattle, Clowney was lined up at the right defensive end, and he flinched. And then that caused the rest of the Bengals offense to flinch as well. So it's going to be interesting to see who they call here. It could be on either team.
Neutral zone infraction, number 90, defense. 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
That's
Please set
Clowney.
the game clock at 13:24, please. 13:24, thank you.
We know what a major issue Cincinnati had last season with the false start penalties, but the officials say it was Clowney here.
Yep, you see the movement, and then that's what, because Boyd can't hear the snap count, they're going off of different visual cues. He sees Clowney jump, and then that's why he goes offside and gives Cincinnati another chance. 3rd and 6, much better, and a down that Cincinnati has done a really nice job of on 3rd down. A lot easier against this defense in 3rd and long.
Tyler Boyd again lines up in the slot. 3rd and 6 pass. It's Ross. 1st down Bengals. Boy, how many big catches has this kid made today? 55-yard touchdown reception to close the first half. Here a pickup of 7 and a fresh set of downs.
Great adjustment by Dalton. Blitz inside, pick it up and throw it outside where you have the numbers. Gets it out of his hands, and now Cincinnati has an extra blocker, and John Ross can get upfield to pick up the 1st down. Really good job for Andy Dalton to recognize what the Seattle Seahawks were doing, getting to the right play and moving the chains.
Play action from Dalton, back to the air on 1st down. Excellent delivery to Erickson. Just short of midfield, a pickup of 13. It'll be another Bengals 1st down, and right now Dalton again has it rolling.
Well, it's keeping it pretty simple. Seattle, you see all these players up front. That's what the Patriots did to the Rams in the Super Bowl. And so what it does is it makes the linebackers, when you're playing up on the line of scrimmage, it makes it hard to get your depth. So what they're doing is when they see that front, they're just running simple curl routes in behind the linebackers, and they're picking apart the Seattle zone defense.
You see Dalton 367. His career high is 383 yards passing. Closing in on that personal mark. On 1st down to the sideline, it's Ross. Zach Taylor talked about just how fast this kid is. Another 1st down, and the body control that he's seen from Ross. The ability to start and stop with that speed.
And they said that they had to slow him down in practice, that he does everything too fast. And he's what Zach Taylor calls a tempo violator. And so they just really felt that he has the skill set, and the more confidence he gets to go up there and do things like that, then you're going to see him explode. He is having a terrific game. He's had some bad plays, but he's made up for it with huge plays.
Dalton on 1st down, off the sideline, incomplete. You see the flag thrown. Ross and Flowers battling each other. What's the call here?
Illegal contact, defense, number 21. 5-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
So it's on Flowers, who last season was a bit of a revelation for this team. Started 15 games, played mostly at safety in college, but able to make the transition, and a costly penalty here. Gio Bernard into the game for Joe Mixon, who's out at the moment with an ankle injury. Here's Bernard again, 1st down run. He gets close to the 30 of Seattle. It's a pickup of 5, and they have not skipped a beat without Mixon.
It's amazing to me We've hit on it a few times in this game that this offensive line, with all the questions and all the different changes and how poor they were last year, how well they're playing. I mean, they said they had a lot of confidence in the group that was in there that was going to start out the season, but the way they've handled Seattle's front seven in this game, I think has been about as good as you can ask.
Dalton from the gun delivers quickly. This is Uzama. That's a first down for the Bengals. Art, you make a great point. We mentioned at the top, no Cordy Glenn, still out with the concussion. Andre Smith, of course, the longtime veteran, starting at left tackle. They've got a rookie starting at left guard, a first-time starter in Trey Hopkins, starting the season as a starter. And Jim Turner, their offensive line coach, has to be very, very pleased so far.
Yeah, they sure have. And then combine that with the play calling. Andy Dalton has been so sharp today. He has been so decisive, and the ball is coming out so fast. Seattle really doesn't have a chance to get to him in the backfield.
Dalton faking the give. It's batted down at the line of scrimmage. And Quentin Jefferson's gigantic day continues.
Yeah, sure is. Just such great awareness. Screen play, and then he just reads it and gets his hands up and knocks it down. He has just been outstanding today and has been the most active Seattle Seahawk up front. You know, after Clowney had that kind of big first couple series, Cincinnati's offensive line has done a pretty good job of neutralizing him and not letting him become the story in this game.
See the play selection, pass heavy, with Dalton closing in on a career-high passing. On second down, another quick delivery. This time it's Boyd. Bengals need the 14 for the first down. Michael Kendricks on the tackle. Arch, what are you thinking here if you're Zach Taylor?
Well, huge third down here. What's it going to be? About 3rd and 5. And this has been a problem down for Seattle. They've tried to blitz. Dalton has got it out on the quick screen. They've tried to play zone. Dalton has been able to pick apart that zone. Their best bet is to play man coverage. Make the windows tight. Don't give any separation for these wide receivers and try and get Dalton to hold the ball longer than he has.
10th play of the drive that began at their own 25. On third down, it's batted down. And a penalty marker behind the play. Flowers against Damian Willis. Flowers called for the penalty earlier in the drive.
Defense, number 21.
Wow.
Ball's placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
This is so hard. And you're going to see he does get there a little bit early at the top. This is so tough.
This is a play that Pete Carroll can challenge now. He's taking a look at the big, giant video board here in the stadium.
Here's a problem that he's going to run into. Is there enough for that to overturn? To me,
that's close.
This should not be pass interference.
I think you got to challenge it.
This happens so close and so tight.
Carroll has thrown the flag, and they will take a look.
So I agree that I don't think that should be called pass interference. But again, the standard, and this is what we're going to find out here in week 1. Is there enough to make it clear and obvious that it wasn't? And that's going to be the question, and I don't think any of us know.
On the field of pass interference.
Very interesting review coming up here. Call on the field is a pass interference on Trey Flowers. 21-17 lead for Seattle. Well, the pass interference penalty on Trey Flowers has been confirmed, so the call stands, and the Seahawks are charged a timeout, and that could loom large down the stretch. Second penalty on Flowers on this possession for Cincinnati. Dalton towards the end zone, it's incomplete. And he goes right back at Flowers. Let's bring in Gene Steratore from New York. Gene, what did you see on that last penalty?
It's a really close play in real time and live action. There is restriction with the left arm of the defensive back holding the receiver's bicep. What we have to remember is the standard of replay review has to be something very clear and obvious to take it off.
But Gene,
there's the restriction
quickly,
with the left hand.
Quickly,
Yes,
Gene,
yes.
maybe after this play we'll get a chance. I have a question for you, so stand by if we can do it.
So Flowers pinning the left arm of the receiver, Boyd. Bernard trying to find some daylight, run out of bounds, and another marker thrown. Right behind where Bernard went out. Bradley McDougal leading the charge for the defense.
Holding offense, number 71. 10-yard penalty. Remains second down.
It's on Andre Smith.
So, Gene, here's my question, because, you know, certainly for guys like me, I look at that. That shouldn't be called interference, right? But it wasn't overturned because it was too technical and not enough. Am I correct?
That would be correct. In a let-them-play world and having some contact, not rise to a level. But because we have a foul on the field called, we have to see something completely clear and obvious to take it away. So you are right there, Adam, yes.
All right, Gene Steratore from New York. Here's Dalton on 2nd and goal. Flushed out of the pocket towards the sideline. Clowney giving chase. That's a sight no quarterback wants to see. As Dalton run out of bounds, it will be 3rd goal coming up.
Look at this closing speed. Now, I know that Andy Dalton isn't a burner. He's not Cam Newton. He's not Russell Wilson or Lamar Jackson. But watch Clowney, how he just walks them down and just opens it up and gives you a little bit of a John Ross 3rd gear. He's inside, and then he just goes right down the line of scrimmage and gets Dalton on the sideline.
That goes down as a team sack for Seattle. 4th for them. It's a loss of 2. 3rd goal.
3rd and goal. 3rd and 11.
Looks like Zach Taylor wants a timeout. This will be their first with that play clock nearly winding down to 0. Another reminder to keep you here after the game, time permitting. The State Farm postgame show. JB and the crew standing by in New York. Scores and highlights coming up on the State Farm postgame show. You know, we asked Andy Dalton about facing Clowney in this defense. He said, boy, when the schedule came out, we knew we were playing Seattle. Then they trade Frank Clark away. We knew Jaron Reed was going to be suspended. I thought, all right, we'll be okay. Then they get Clowney last week.
And that's even what Zach Taylor said. You know, I really want to find out in the first 2 drives, is Clowney going to play? And then where are they going to play him? I mean, that was such a big part of what they wanted to do on offense and how they wanted to attack Seattle's defense. But he is going to be a major part of the opposing offense's game plan moving forward with how disruptive he is on the edge. Now, Seattle, if they're in zone coverage, right now they're showing 2 high safeties. Dalton has liked to work inside of the seams or watch the corner routes.
Dalton, Ross breaking tackles inside the 10, well short of the end zone. He picks up 8. Brandon Jackson on the tackle for Seattle. That was the 12th play of the drive. They have chewed up nearly 8 minutes of clock. Zach Taylor will send in his field goal unit.
Really kind of surprised at that play call, because you're down by 4, so a field goal still puts you down by 1. And you're pretty much conceding that you're going for the field goal. You're still in field goal range, but there's not a high likelihood that you're going to dump it off to the flat and let Ross run for an 11-yard touchdown. So I'm a little bit confused by that play call by Zach Taylor.
Bullock missed from 45. He's connected from 39, and this 27-yard chip shot is good as the Bengals inch a little bit closer. And everyone will catch their breath. Boy, this has been a fun game to watch.
It has, hasn't it?
Coaching debut for the 36-year-old Zach Taylor, who is coaching here in front of his parents. They have made the trek from Norman, Oklahoma. Hoping that the Bengals can pull through. Well, week 2 of the NFL on CBS begins with many of you headed to Miami next weekend. A divisional showdown between the Patriots and the Dolphins. Could very well be the New England debut for Antonio Brown. And then some will head out west for Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City taking on the Oakland Raiders. But first, you can join JB, Boomer, Nate, Phil, and Coach Cower as they will set you up for a full Sunday of football. The NFL today here on CBS. One of the great venues in the sport, CenturyLink Field, 72,000 plus in Seattle, Washington. This has been a back and forth game. Cincinnati got on the board first. Multiple turnovers. Some huge plays. John Ross, a couple of big touchdowns for the Bengals. And now Russell Wilson will bring his offense back onto the field, trying to protect a 1-point lead. see how Cincinnati fared in close games last year. Seattle, no stranger to these types of games. They won a lot of games. In fact, 3 of them on the final play last year. Kind of the cardiac Cats. 10 wins for Seattle. Got back into the postseason, of course, as the wild card team before their season ended in Dallas. They're going to take that next step and contend in the NFC. They need to produce something here after Cincinnati chewed up a lot of time off the clock. Wilson to the air on first down. Incomplete. Through the hands of John Ursua. First time, I beg your pardon, it's Lockett. Boy, you rarely see that from Tyler Lockett, as Wilson put it right where it needed to be.
He sure did. He had inside position. The ball was thrown inside, and that one is in the old breadbasket. That is not one that you expect to see, and it really challenges their perfect quarterback rating that they have together.
Lockett had the 44-yard touchdown catch earlier. Unable to squeeze it there, so 2nd and 10 as we move inside of the 7-minute mark. Wilson to give here to Carson. And a minimal pickup. It'll be 3rd down coming up. We go back to New York. JB and Boomer.
Colts with an impressive 16-play drive, Boomer.
I'll tell you what, down by 8, Jacoby Brissett leads them all the way back. Here comes T.Y. Hilton. What a play by him. 19-yard touchdown. Marlon Mack runs in the 2 points for the tie. They are now 24-24 with 32 seconds and counting.
Back to Spiro.
Fun finish there. We will see Indianapolis next week in Nashville against the Titans. And how about Tennessee, by the way, going to Cleveland and putting a hurting on Baker Mayfield and the Browns.
Nothing to see here, Spiro. Just
Wilson,
boring
3rd and 9, completes. Able to get something out of nothing to the tight end, Nick Vannett. But they pick up only 5, well short of the 1st down, and the Cincinnati defense able to force the 6th 3-and-out we've seen from Seattle.
That helped out greatly by the Lockett drop. That could have been a big swing for Seattle.
Huge.
Kind of a boring week 1, huh? Not a lot of stories, Spiro.
Wild. Michael Dixon on the punt. Need a good one here. Didn't get a ton of leg on it. Erickson's going to play from his own 24. Evades the initial tackler, but then he is walloped. Good punt coverage down the field. 44 yards on the punt and a return of only 4. 1-point Seattle lead.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM. And by McCafe Premium Roast Coffee. Good is brewing.
Space Needle Observation Tower, icon of the Seattle skyline here since 1962. Here's Dalton on 1st down, delivering a strike near side of the field to the undrafted rookie making his NFL debut today, Damian Willis. It's a pickup of 7. So Cincinnati down a point. 2 timeouts left. Dalton has been so good today. Career high in terms of passing yards, 404 yards. But he's got to drive them down the field again. On 2nd and short, incomplete.
I think if you come into this game and you say that, you know, through the 4th quarter, Andy Dalton's going to have 42 passing attempts, you would say that probably Cincinnati's not going to have a very good game. And the way they've been able to handle and pretty much be a one-dimensional offense with not having any running game to keep this Seattle defense off balance really shows you what a good job that Zach Taylor, Andy Dalton, and the offensive staff have done putting this passing game together.
Told you Bullock's career long is 55 yards, so they need to get to around the Seattle 37. Dalton's pass is caught. That is Eifert. Right at the 40-yard line, tackled by McDougal. What a pass thrown there by Dalton to pick up a 5.
How about this? Giovanni Bernard, this blitz pickup. Bobby Wagner right up the gut, and he just stones him. Holds his block and gives Dalton the time to get the ball out and pick it up. Outstanding.
A Cincinnati offense already without A.J. Green for the start of the season. Losing Joe Mixon down the stretch. An ankle injury for him. Down a point. Dalton's pass batted down at the line of scrimmage. And boy, that was dangerous. In the air for an awfully long time. Felt like an eternity if you're a Bengals fan. It was Michael Kendricks.
Sure was. Nice timing. Kendricks with the blitz off of the left side of Dalton. And, you know, we've talked about it quite a bit, how much Pete Carroll thinks Michael Kendricks can impact this defense, and just a guy that really has great instincts and feel. Not just looks the part of an edge guy, but has tremendous football instincts and can make a difference.
Where does Dalton go here? From the gun. Here come the Seahawks. Dalton on the run. Finds Erickson. 34 completions today for Andy Dalton, and that is a new career high. But none of that will matter if they can't convert here. Third down coming up.
This one is huge. We've got 3 minutes and about 56 seconds left. And they've got to find a way to pick up 6 yards. Seattle's defense, 7 yards. Seattle's defense, again, their best bet is to play man coverage and maybe think about pressuring Dalton to make him make a quick decision.
Batted down at the line of scrimmage. Second time that happened on this drive alone by Seattle's defense. It was Kendricks earlier, and they're able to do it again to force a Cincinnati punt.
Tremendous pass rush by Brandon Jackson, number 93, on Bobby Hart. Hart gets a little bit of a jump, but watch Jackson press him right back into Dalton. And then Quentin Jefferson gets his hands up. But that is a tremendous bull rush to make Dalton feel some heat inside the pocket. 4
batted balls today of Dalton by the Seattle defense. Massive play right there for the Seahawks. As this one takes a nice little bounce for the Bengals. Tough starting field position for Russell Wilson and Seattle after a 50-yard punt by Huber. Now we celebrate the 100th season of the NFL. Taking a stroll down memory lane. Our good buddy Boomer Esiason. Only postseason meeting between these two franchises. Go all the way back to the 1988 AFC divisional playoffs. Cincinnati rushing for season high 254 yards. As Boomer Esiason's first career playoff victory. No strangers to putting up the banners here in Seattle. That Super Bowl title 2014. And hoping to take a step back to legit contention in the NFC. As they protect this 1-point lead. 3:22 left, fourth quarter. Both teams with 2 timeouts. Wilson. Haven't seen him running the football much today. Good start to the drive. They pick up 5, tackled by Hubbard. Well, for those of you expecting to see 60 minutes, you're watching the NFL on CBS. And the game between the Bengals and the Seahawks. I'm Spiro Ditas along with Adam Archuleta. 60 minutes will be seen in its entirety immediately following this game, except on the West Coast. So Cincinnati will take its second timeout here. So they've got 1 left. Arch, you've got the 2-minute warning as the game management now becomes so huge between these two coaches.
Well, this next down, because Cincinnati only has 1 more timeout. And so right now you're trying to conserve as much time as possible before you get to the 2-minute warning. So it's 2nd down and 5. So it's imperative for Cincinnati. They've got to make a stop here for no gain or a negative gain to take advantage of using that timeout. Imagine Russell Wilson will not be afraid to run this.
Wilson to give to Carson here. As he is able to get to just about the 15-yard line. A pickup of 4. Preston Brown and Carl Lawson combined on the tackle. So Cincinnati takes its final timeout. It'll be a 3rd and 1. And obviously can't overstate the importance of this play coming up. With Cincinnati trying to get off the field. You see what they have done here in the month of September. Undefeated since Pete Carroll took over the reins in 2010. Haven't lost a home opener here since 2008. And one guy potentially to keep an eye on here is George Fant, their right tackle, who we saw a bunch play at tight end last year as an eligible receiver.
And he was a huge part of their run game. Now, you've always got to be careful in 4-minute offenses of Russell Wilson with the quarterback keepers and the bootleg. They put George Fant in, so you're thinking run, but this is a great time for Wilson to keep it and catch Cincinnati off guard.
Carson, first down, and he's still going. Monstrous play by Carson. Boy, the trickery with Fant had them guessing, and Carson with a 21-yard burst.
How about Ethan Posick? Who's he blocking right there? Is that Geno Atkins? This is a tremendous block by 77. Handling Atkins and not letting him get off into his gap, and that's exactly where Chris Carson runs. You're blocking one of the better defensive tackles in football, and Posick just handled Geno Atkins for Seattle to pick up this first down.
Hasn't been a huge day for Carson, but boy, how big does that run loom here? As they will run this thing down to the 2-minute warning. Cincinnati is out of timeouts. But such a huge first down run by Carson.
Wow.
To take us to the 2-minute warning. Seattle has gotten their money's worth from Cincinnati. Trying to hold on here in week 1.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Verizon, the network more people rely on.
Tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes and a tribute to 30 years of reporting by Steve Kroft. That'll be followed by a new episode of Big Brother, plus NCIS Los Angeles and NCIS New Orleans. Tonight, only CBS. Final 2 minutes, Andy Dalton hoping for something here from his defense to get one more chance. But basically a first down wins it here for Seattle. May not even need it. It's a nice play to start. No timeouts left for Cincinnati. Tackled there by Atkins and Hubbard. They lose 2.
So if you're Cincinnati, you know, I'm not great at math, but if you can force them to punt, you're probably going to get around, I don't know, maybe 20, 25 seconds left if you're lucky on their next possession.
Wilson will run this thing down as much as he can. Zach Taylor using all 3 of his timeouts before the 2-minute warning. And you'll see Pete Carroll right in the ear of the sideline judge as they will take their second timeout here and talk it over. So 1:15 left. The Seattle team that last season went 10-6, recovered from that 0-2 start. Won 10 of their final 14 games. Got back into the postseason with a wild card. So excited about the prospects for this team. You add Jadeveon Clowney to the mix. We haven't even seen Ziggy Ansah, who they're hoping to have next week and what would be his Seattle debut. Not quite ready to come back from the offseason shoulder surgery.
There is a lot of work to do, but that's usually the case after week 1, regardless of how good you play or how bad you play. But you've got to be very pleased, at least offensively, with the explosive plays. When the Seahawks needed a play, that's when they got it. And that's really been the difference in this game.
Seattle not out of the woods just yet. It looks like they're going to take another timeout here. As Wilson will.
5-yard penalty.
No, they didn't call a
Makes third
timeout.
down.
Of course, they had just called the timeout prior to that, so that is a delay of game against Seattle.
You can see that Wilson was signaling to take a timeout, but of course.
And if you take a timeout there, it's a penalty because you just called the timeout prior. So you have to take the delay of game penalty with $1:15 left. Makes it a little bit more interesting. By the way, Seattle has told us that Will Dissly, their starter tight end, is doubtful to return with a knee injury. Read option play. Here's Wilson in the open flat, and he is stopped. So the penalty puts Seattle in a bind, and now Cincinnati is going to get it back. 4th down with a minute left and counting. Wilson was just barely able to stay in bounds, so the clock keeps running.
Yeah, but he got down. I mean, look, there's no way that he's going to run out of bounds right there. But, you know, it looks like Cincinnati is going to get, you know, right at about 20-25 seconds when they get this ball with 0 timeouts. You know, I go back to that one possession where the Bengals were right about the 11-yard line and they were 3rd and 11. And they just kind of dumped it off and looked like they were just happy conceding the field goal or just picking up the field goal. And they didn't really take a shot at the end zone. And I think the way they've been able to attack Seattle's defense and really kind of have their way with the secondary, I'm really kind of surprised that they didn't try and at least try and go for the touchdown when you're already in field goal position.
Well, they're going to get the football back. That's all they could ask for here. 28 seconds, no timeouts for the Bengals. Andy Dalton, 24 career game-winning drives. Do they have some magic left up their sleeve with under 30 seconds left? Michael Dixon will try to pin him back deep. There was some contact, no penalty flags, as Erickson signals for the fair catch, and they will have it right around their own 25. Well, you know the fans wanted a flag.
Well, Jordan Evans kind of ran into, but he kind of pulls off. Watch number 50 come in right at the end.
Not enough to garner the flag, according to the officials.
You can't call that.
So again, we touched on it earlier. Career-long field goal for Randy Bullock, 55 yards. So the target line right around the Seattle 37.
Any pass caught inbounds is going to run the clock down to at least probably 6 seconds before you have a chance to clock it.
Dalton somehow escapes, throws on the run, and he completes. Eifert able to get out of bounds, and that's the big point there. Stops the clock, 14 seconds left. And it will be 2nd and 4.
Boy, Quentin Jefferson has had himself a game. There he was again. He's the guy that got back there and got the initial pressure on Dalton. He has been unreal today. Number 99, Quentin Jefferson. Now Dalton again, you've got to go to the sideline because with 14 seconds left, almost no chance. I mean, there might be a chance, but almost no chance that you're going to be able to clock this if you can't stop the clock by getting out of bounds.
Dalton again under pressure, knocked out. Officials, let's see what they rule here. Incomplete as Rasheem Green able to get there for Seattle. So it's ruled that the clock's still running here. Initially looked like they had ruled it an incompletion with that arm going forward. It was awfully close as the officials still talking about it here. Game clock showing zeros.
Previous play is under review.
So Green made contact with Dalton before the hand went forward, but then Dalton's hand with the follow through did go forward.
So the call on the field is a fumble and a recovery by Seattle.
Which to me is the right call. Because when you see this, I believe when Green makes contact with Randy Dalton's arm, the ball is coming out. And there certainly won't be enough to overturn this regardless.
Okay, so the ruling, just to be clear here, is a fumble and a recovery by Seattle. We had incomplete pass on the screen. That is incorrect. So it is a fumble, recovery by Seattle. We'll see if the officials confirm it here. Clear recovery. That's an important point to make as we bring Gene back. Gene, what do you see?
Here's a great look.
The contact is irrelevant. What we're looking at right now is when Andy Dalton's hand or arm moves forward. If he is in control of the football at all and the motion of the arm goes forward, it's a forward pass by rule. If that's the case, they'll follow that football. There's control. That football comes forward with control, in my opinion. So they are going to overturn this, in my opinion, to incomplete. Then we fast forward to the replay. When the ball hits the ground, there's 10 seconds left in the game. It would be my thought that as they rule this forward with control, that they'll reset the game clock to 10 seconds, 3rd down and 4.
Which would potentially give Cincinnati one more chance.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed of a fumbled ball recovered by Seattle. The ball is placed at the 44-yard line. Please set the game clock at 9 seconds. 9 seconds on the game clock. Thank you.
Interesting.
It's a subjective game, Spiro.
And keep in mind, Al Riveron in New York has the ultimate decision and the final say. So they rule fumble recovery by Seattle. And the Seahawks are going to escape with an opening day win. Gene, let's bring you back. What do you think?
From what New York must be thinking is their thought was prior to that arm starting forward, they felt like that Andy Dalton had lost control. In my opinion, I felt like when that ball started forward, he still had firm control of that. As you guys said, there's a little bit of subjectivity in there, and New York obviously thought it was loose before he moved his arm forward.
All right, Gene Steratore from New York. Gene, thank you very much. Seattle getting everything they wanted from Cincinnati as they hold on and survive with a 1-point win here on opening day. As Pete Carroll and company spoiling the rookie head coaching debut of Zach Taylor as we take one final look at that final play.
Well, I think if you're Cincinnati, you've got to be disappointed. You know, I know that you played well, but you had opportunities to win this game on the road. Seattle's got a lot to clean up, but it's week 1. Both teams have a chance to improve.
So your final 21-20, Seattle with the victory over Cincinnati. Tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes, followed by Big Brother, plus NCIS Los Angeles and NCIS New Orleans. Now for Adam Archuleta, our producer Jason Ross, Jim Cornell, our director Spiro Data saying so long from Seattle. You've been watching the NFL on CBS.